coming up next, but while he's getting set up, I just wanted to let you know, I can't remember your name, I'm sorry, I know you, but I can't remember your name. Max brought this flyer in. You say, oh, can I have one of these flyers? There's only one.
No, there are more.
I know, but I have these, which I'm going to hand out and pass around, and then there are these which are bookmarks which can be grabbed by you if you want to get them before you go. So I'm going to pass these this way. Take one if you want. It's the 48th California Book Fair.
And there are a few tips.
Say again?
The big ones.
Oh, there are a few big ones.
No, big. But I think you give me some. No, don't worry. You have a free entrance.
No.
There are two kinds.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's.
And there's another one.
It's not here.
Oh,
But anyway, we know where it is.
Martin Joseph, are you in the house?
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Brady.
Well, much to Martin Joseph, I am ready if you are ready. And if you're ready and I'm ready, then we're ready. And they're just probably going, when are they going to stop?
Come on up, please. Give them a nice round, please.
Good evening, Sacred Grounds.
Good evening, Mr. Martin.
How many of you knew that there was a Super Bowl played this past week? Anybody? Okay.
Well, I watched the whole thing.
Then those of you who were there may understand this poem. I wrote it today. It's called Marshawn Lynch. I'm not here to blow your mind. I'm just here so I don't get fined. The touchdown's a cinch if you have Marshawn Lynch. Don't be searching for the least load, just put him into beast mode. He will pull over, blow your cover, catch the ball and mow you over. That's our man, 'cause he's the one who can. It's just that after the show, when someone wants him to go up to the podium to put him in Mike Modium, it's a no-show, no ego, a chance to blow on subjects too intense to know. You ask him, what? Just what do you want with your inanity, insanity, pablum for the public that even the public don't want? You got your column inches and your minutes to fill, and you don't care about quality or footballity. You just say, how do you feel? What color did you see? Just give me some words and I'll put you on TV. And he says, I'm not here to blow your mind. I'm just here so I don't get fined. 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 Yeah. I thought that was it when they put him on the spit, but it seems the rest of us just can't get over it. I got on the bus after standing in line. I had to run to catch it. The driver was kind. I tried to thank him for stopping instead of pretending to be blind. Instead of pretending to be blind, he says, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Orange jumpsuits we passed along the way, picking up the trash that lined the highway. I asked them what they do to be so inclined. They said, we're just here so we don't get fined. Now, everywhere I go and every way I unwind, there is some kind of contract that has to be signed. Everybody has a job to do, no matter how our pockets are lined. We're all just here so we don't get fined. We're all just here so we don't get fined. We're all just here so we don't get fined. Yeah.
These are different?
Yeah, it's a big.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Now I'm going to say a few words about our upcoming feature. Sarah Page. And most people say, when they say that, they start going on and on. Well, that's not. This is a trained microphone. Don't do this at home. What I'd like to say is she is good. You're in for a treat. She has a good sense of, well, many things. The political, the emotional, humor, satire. She has a full, rich range of things which she presents. And I haven't seen what she's going to present, so it's going to surprise me. But it's going to be good. You'll enjoy it. And after she finishes and enjoys the basking round of huge applause, which will devolve upon her from your wonderful hands, we'll have a 10-minute break, and we have a second half with just like a bunch of stellar poets. So hang around for that. Miss Sarah Page, would you kindly come forward and enjoy the applause which you are so richly deserving of? Give her a round.
It's great to be here. You've probably heard this a lot of times because this is such a great community space, and it has been the longest running poetry open mic in the city. So what I'm going to say is this was my first feature ever was at Sacred Grounds in San Francisco, and so it's a special place for me, and I'm really happy to be here and to do another feature for you all. Somebody read about trees, so I thought I'd start off with a tree poem that I want to read tonight. Tree says, stop, says, look at me, says, stand still, up straight, says, tall, says, now, says, yes, says, more, says, breathe. Tree says, let your hair down, says, laugh, says, sway, says, do not cut me down. Tree says, it is not your place to know the things the trees know. That's why only the trees know them. Tree says, everything is wind. And I also have a French translation, so I thought I'd start out with that as well. This is a poem by Jacques Prévert, and I'll read the French first and then my English translation. And my French is not that great, but humor me. Le jardin. Des milliers et des milliers d'années ne sauraient suffire pour dire la petite seconde d'éternité où tu m'as embrassé, où je t'ai embrassé, un matin dans la lumière de livre, au parc Montsouris à Paris, sur la terre qui est un astre. The garden. Thousands and thousands of years are not enough to describe the brief second of eternity when you embraced me and I embraced you, one morning in the light of winter, in Montsouris Park in Paris, on Earth, the Earth which is a star. What you want to do. What you want to do is incur a lot of debt. Just enough so you can still make the minimum monthly payment. But you have to have good credit, pay your bills on time. Good credit, lots of debt, don't worry, be happy. Happiness directly proportional to happiness directly proportional to debt incurred. Allowable debt inversely proportional to ability to pay back. Happy, happy, happy. But watch that monthly payment. And remember, for the price of a cup of coffee a day, you can help a child starving in Africa. Stop going to Starbucks, make your own coffee. But wait, you can charge your coffee to your credit card and still give that other cup to a starving child in Africa. No problem. Don't worry. Be happy. And couple poems that I wrote based on having been in Costa Rica this past year for a short vacation. El Rio Loco. I find you when I find myself, thousands of miles away in the jungle where the monkeys live. We are birds, our feathers made of stardust from the birth of the universe. We stare at trees and lose our old minds, so we make new ones with more patience. We wait for our meals, wait for the rain, wait for the break of day. We bathe in El Rio Loco, the crazy river that has always existed. Eat fruit fresh from the earth. We sleep in a tree above the waterfall, which flows into our swimming spot as bats circle our treehouse. In the morning, one of the bats will be sleeping in our bathroom, and I will put a towel over my head like the Madonna for protection. This dirt road. I'm a first world person in a third world country in a small village by a bay in Costa Rica, walking along a dirt road. It doesn't seem right to take pictures. Curse being a tourist. Today I want to be a local, to throw my net into the bay and catch something for dinner. I want to have my dog follow me home along this dirt road, to feed the chickens when we get there, turn on the radio and listen to cumbia, laugh at the gringos taking photos of my simple everyday existence and getting caught out in the rain. No delicate thing is safe. Shells inevitably become empty, the way your brain holds thoughts, or how snails live inside them, temporarily. Living inside a shell, you're protected. No one can see your delicate nature without an act of violent penetration. In a boat on the Caribbean Sea, I saw a man stab a shell and pull out the animal living inside it. I put the shell to my ear, heard the ocean whisper, "Beware." No man is an island, and no delicate thing is safe. He sent his bird to her, and their birds then communicated their innermost desires and secrets with each other. And this is how they fell in love, shyly at first, and without acknowledging it, until you couldn't tell their birds apart from each other anymore, and they were light as feathers. And this is a poem that I wrote for a painting. It's for Joan Miro's The Flight of a Bird Over the Plain, number 3. The bird is like me. The bird becomes me. I fly through the hole in the sky that is blue and leave the brown field behind. I leave my human body behind, leave science behind. I carry with me a string of eggs. They are black and white like science. I will bring them home to multiply. Red makes it real, makes it bleed. I become the bird, become free. Life is an incomplete sentence. And then I'm going to read a couple poems that I recently had published in this zine that I really like, called Unarmed, and I have it here. And it's published by a guy in Minneapolis, I think, Minnesota. And if anyone's interested, I can give you the address if you'd like to submit. They do really kind of abstract, short pieces. Days and days go by, and the faces strain and sway. Do they delight in the delay of imminent dealings? Here, have some hay to straw yourself, one says, with hyperbolic enthusiasm. Even the evenings are unimagined, hypertensive with drawn arteries. Curtains. It gives way. The theater of theoretical themes of torture tense. Don't cry, caw. Coo a bouquet of round bivalences beautiful. A corpse in the copse celebrates selectively. A slight sleigh sings. And then the second one is a neurotransmitter. Episodic soliloquy of gratuitous grandiosity assails the Archimedes of mind-fucking horse stampede. The grace of goodbye, when all else is otherwise a non sequitur, or lavish longitudinal latitude of fish. Illusions elucidate monstrosities, small and weak. They shudder in their sleep and cry out. This is a longer prose kind of poetry piece. And this is called Rising Tide Dream. 90% of all people lived in a large city surrounded by water. The other 10% lived on the other side of the water in more rural areas. A bridge connected the two populations, but one day the bridge became washed away by the rising tides. I was with some people who were crossing the bridge at the time. We were washed off the bridge by the rising water, which came in waves and swept us away to an island. We were happy to reach the island, our happiness enhanced by the presence of helpful people. But the helpful people soon became like prison guards who would not let us enjoy our freedom from the city. Separated from the city, they had their own form of government. It was not friendly. I banded together with a group of my fellow prisoners. We began to strategize an escape. A message was slipped into the laundry to ignite the working prisoners, to form a union of like-minded folk against the not friendly governors. If the message were to be found by the wrong people, it would be bad for us. If I taught the girl, I was asked by one of the oppressive guards to teach her daughter, a beautiful young girl. I, of course, agreed. Later, I explained to my comrades the opportunity this would open up for us. If I taught the girl the right way, perhaps she could help us. We could learn their secrets. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer was the prevailing theme. My comrades were nervous, but we were careful to do all the right things. The dream was so vivid, I could almost see my hands. I must have been praying because everything was going better than could be expected. We were acting in secret, so we had to keep our mouths shut around the guards, our heads down. Was it more noble to be acting in secret? Easier to keep going that way? We had no choice, captive as we were. Subversion would not be tolerated by the master class. Soon we would be free, would be happy. Happiness like a dream, not like a plan for escape. We could be brave for the dream to be executed by the plan. They had us in cabins like yurts in the woods on the island. We worked for them with our hands. We worked for ourselves with our minds. Walked on trails between the cabins like deer in the forest. Sometimes all sound was absorbed by the quiet of the woods around us, like magic, like science, like a black hole on the edge of the universe, like a mushroom, not like a cloud. We walked the steep edges carefully, crossed bridges. I could only hear my breathing, then footfalls. Some edges you cannot see. Black holes, for example. Black holes absorb light. Do we know if they also absorb sound, absorb thought, matter? Together, we did the remembering of the way home, singing songs to help us remember how to get back there. It was sweet, it was melodious. The superfluousness of it made us cry. I wrote some poems using the phrase "the space between" as a theme, and I'm working on some more, but I'm going to read a couple of those. Eternity. It is in the space between then and now, like how sunlight reflects off objects, and that is how you see the object, reflection. And the sun, if you look at it too long, will cause you to lose your sight. Like how I tell my husband, I love you to infinity and beyond. And he says, there's no such thing, because he has a rational mind. So I tell him, it doesn't matter, I still love him that much. And just because he can't comprehend how much that is, doesn't mean it isn't true. My husband is a poet. My husband composes poems on an electric typewriter. The typewriter hums in anticipation of his keystrokes. Like a mantra, the typewriter is Zen. My husband activates the potential spiritual energy of the typewriter by turning it on. The space between his ears begins to hum in tune with the electric motor of the typewriter until they speak the same language, finishing each other's sentences. And then I'll just read one more poem, which is dedicated to my husband, Stephen Gray. A leaf. I was a leaf spiraling downward adrift towards the ground when you caught me and told me I was not a leaf at all but a tree. And I saw that I had roots and was indeed more than a leaf. You planted yourself beside me, and before I knew it, we were reaching for the sky with our feet on the ground and our roots tangled up underneath.
Sarah Page, ladies and gentlemen, give her another round. Thank you.
Just a couple of quick things before the break. We have like a really solid second half. We have Cesar Love, Alan Harris, Greg Pond, Stephen Gray, Ann, Clyde Always, Bill Mercer, and maybe another person that I can't read the name of, but I'll get back to them as soon as they get back to me. And the mailing list, if you want to be on it, you can put your email there so I can send emails to you should announcements come up. One or two a month. I'm not going to be sending out one every day, like some people.
And then there's, of course, this is the other thing he was talking about. This is the VIP version of this. I don't know the difference, but take one of these, one of those, take this, take that. There are these. enjoy yourself, talk amongst yourselves, share. Did you bring books?
Yes, magazines, we've got magazines.
Okay, she had Out of Hour. She has some copies of Out of Hour there. It's a very good poetry magazine. I suggest you check it out. Steven's holding it up at one of the recent copies. So there it is, folks. Stand, invoke the spiritual, and come to each other. Come together. Come together. I can't remember that song. Anyway.
I will stop. You shall have peace of mind. You won't have to worry about me anymore. You won't have me to kick around. Who said that? You won't have me to kick around. Yeah, thank you. I can't remember all the words.
Your second favorite. Your second favorite political show.
I'll tell you this. So Ms. Magazine took a poll of 75,000 women. One of the questions was, would you have sex with Bill Clinton? And 75% said no. 10% said yes. And the rest said, well, again.
Yeah, I really enjoyed
Goodness me.
Yes, I put it down last time, but it was out of 10.
I'm gonna do what? Oh, yes, in April, I think. Yeah. Dave, we got that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I'm not used to Oh, no, that was just
I'll find you, man.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Right now, it's
My emails. These are like second Tuesday of any given month, look up your numbers, find the number, name, and address. That's good. If you ever write this, put your name on the website. That way I'll see it, that way I'll know that person did write me.
And also give me peace. It's a free entrance for all the faith. But I like your
So he's if you do ever see him, tell him to come back. Well, now you know how it works and you can time it better. You are special.
Killer.
I just died.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right, right. Yeah, I mean,
Ah, come on, why don't you retire? Hey, when you do that, sit down and tell me all the horror stories. I'll tell you my horror story. Watch some stupid old I'll be trying to tell you my stories. No, my story. No, my story. I'll just talk over it.
They're all older.
So a lot of these
I used to walk them all. I walked, yeah, well, that's easy. Well, no, yeah, I think, I'm not going up, I walk, and I'm at Chestnut Mason, and all walk Mason, yeah. Well, would you sometimes I walk to, so I walked to,
all of that.
Yeah, I mean, but all I can say about this is that you know, my money,
That's good. Yeah, I'm walking probably the only thing. I
Helping volunteers.
Yeah, I think that guy.
Supervise, making leak. Helping for all the zoeklovers and boys,
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute, we have a reservoir. That's close to us. It's just above the reservoir. Just above the reservoir? You play tennis? I'm not. It's so long.
It's like a younger version of Serena.
Right. Yeah, that was
That's good, so I don't think there was much over there in that part of the
I've only gone there.
Maybe
I like it better. Probably at this age.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your attention, we're going to begin the second half here. Just to let you know, take your seats, or you can place your seats. Let me see who's coming up here in just a moment. Again, if you want to be on that mailing list, there it is. It's very, very conservatively done. 17,000 emails per hour. I've got this machine that just won't quit. I'll quit when the machine does. But 17,000 emails. Actually, this thing can send out 40,000 emails a minute. And you buy lists in lots of 500,000 and 2 million, only a couple $100. It'd be really annoying. Anyway, and there's a special feature in this emailing program where you can put one person's email 10,000 times, but only 10,000 times, because you really want to get a hold of somebody. Anyway, modern technology is wonderful. I'm happy to be here if you're happy here, and I'm happy and we're all happy. So in the second half, we're going to kick it off with Cesar Love, a wonderful San Francisco poet, and then I'll give the list out for other people to come up. So come on, give them a round, please.
Yay!
So I have one announcement.
The Mission District is going to have a poetry festival in May. Mark the dates 14th, 15th, and 16th, sponsored by Alejandro Murguia. And he's bringing to town Ernesto Cardenal, the national poet of Nicaragua, is going to be reading sometime during those 3 days. So it's a few months in advance, but just giving you the advance buzz. It's going to be happening. Don't know all the details, but there'll be something like Lit Crawl on 24th Street. It's going to be happening one of those nights, or all 3 of those nights. Not quite sure what our esteemed poet laureate has in mind, but
Do you know where it's going to be?
some of it's going to be in the bookstore, some it's going to be at Mission Cultural Center. Imagine the big reading. He's
So I can
inviting.
find more information at the Cultural Center about it?
I don't think it's out yet. I don't think the details are smoothed out, but he does have a plan to bring other poet laureates from Los Angeles, from the state of California, people like Luis Rodriguez, Juan Felipe Herrera, team them all together. I think there's going to be some grand reading of all the poet laureates. Anyways, enough that. I'm a little cold, so this is a poem about cold weather. It's called German Winter. There are months of small afternoons. They are months of small afternoons, when days withdraw before children are home, and street lamps labor the boggy hours. It is a weather without recess, the gravity of snow upon coats and shoes, the roof tiles braving inanimate rain. It is the season of interiors, the trusted sidewalk to the cafes and pubs, the perennial scarf for the pathway home. It is a time of stove wood. A deep sun fire molds the wine. Warm candles consent the embrace of the eyes. Yeah, this is a new poem called Lake Chabot, Castro Valley, California. Blue water, mirror of day, shows the breath of the sky. Dark water, mirror of night, how lovely the moon on your throat. Sweet water, ripples and tides. A brush from your tongue moistens our clay. Deep water, so certain the currents. Sleepless their movement, sleepless your will. Warm water, a pool of smooth stones. How flawless you shape them, how fully they know you. Tomorrow, another will dare to submerge. Still water, gentle the splashes, so peaceful your power, so quiet creation.
Thank you. Come along. Just shows to go here. All right. We just use next. Oh my goodness. It is Alan Harris. Be followed by Greg Kahn, Steve Gray, Bud Always, Bill Mercer, and Ork, Magic Wonder Dog. Will be the closer. Alan, are you ready?
Yes.
Thank you, Alan.
You. Recent studies have shown that doing drugs is a good thing, but that people choose the wrong time in their lives to do drugs. That a person should not do drugs when that person is an adult and has responsibilities, like a job and a family and bills to pay. That the best time in life to do drugs is when a person has no responsibilities and someone else is picking up the bills, like when you're 6. Recent studies have shown that the age of 6 is the perfect time to do drugs, specifically lysergic acid, that giving a 6-year-old a tab of acid will really enhance his playtime because he'll be able to watch his playmates melt, will really increase his bladder control because he'll be so busy watching his oatmeal doing Tai Chi that he won't even think about urinating, and will really improve his relationship with his parents because you always bond with your dealer. And while all of this tripping may very well warp his fragile little mind and jar his fragile little nervous system and cause him to grow into a twisted and delusional adult, growing up sucks anyway because you have responsibilities, like a job and a family and bills to pay. So you might as well spend your adulthood wandering in and out of mental wards. Recent studies have shown this. Anyone offended by that?
No.
Damn.
I'll get back to you.
I am.
What is our relationship? Is it a sitcom, or a western, or a music video, or a talk show, or a game show, or one of those groundbreaking Italian neo-realist films from the 1940s, or a documentary about why the rest of the world hates America so much, or a public access cultural affairs show about how the government has abandoned us and we're essentially on our own, or a debate between a Democrat, a Republican, and a lit trap? Or a reality show in which we see whether or not regular people, just like you and me, are willing to waterboard their children? Personally, I think our relationship is a murder mystery, and the clues are all over the place. Any idiot could figure out who the killer is, but no one wants to call the cops because they're probably in on it anyway. And besides, denial is fun, and fear is good cardio, and fairness is relative, and Jesus is a Republican, and patriotism rocks, and cats bark, and tall people are short, and Gandhi was a hitman. Or maybe fairness can beat the shit out of fear and denial, and maybe patriotism is as toxic as a clogged colon, and maybe Jesus is a naderite, and maybe love is a verb. My bicycle mocks me, my TV likes to watch, my electrical outlets won't keep their opinions to themselves, my Venetian blinds think they're all that, my stereo has a God complex, my speakers aren't talking to each other, my CDs want their own room, my DVDs can't stop sneezing, my closet has a drinking problem, my desk has daddy issues, my mirror keeps looking at me, my air conditioner voted twice in the last presidential election, my rug is in a cult, my lamps could lose a little weight, my handgun has low self-esteem, my smoke detector is delusional, my nightstand is going rogue, my bed sleeps around, my pillows are definitely on drugs, my comforter is selling drugs to my pillows, my bookcase is thinking of leaving the priesthood, my radiator sees conspiracies in everything, my ceiling won't take anything seriously, and my walls deserve better. I am the witness to the filling up of an empty space by an air bubble wielding casualty whose desire to simply be seen is ignored by the spiritually atonal, self-appointed surrogates of the founding fathers who are engaged in a tube-induced competition to see which one of them can claim to love Jesus the most while acting the least like him. Their increasingly shrill cries of earthly exceptionalism and promises to invade the sun on day one have the pro-oblivion hordes nodding in agreement and chuckling at the punchlines of the damned and thanking God every day for the existence of charlatans whose favorite adjective is apocalyptic and whose idea of a perfect world includes cops who work on commission, fossil fuels which, when burned, make the air smell like cookies, and the kind of patriotism best expressed through the drunken obliteration of a squirrel with an assault rifle while wearing a bikini. A world of compressed objection and selective rationality in which, if your name happens to be Mr. Pre-existing Condition, then you are fucked. And when the purges come, fueled by false equivalency, institutionalized cannibalism, and shell-shocked optimism, you will be left with nothing but the knowledge that corporations are sociopaths, that with a frontal lobe comes responsibility, and that just because you're paranoid, that doesn't mean that people aren't voting for Republicans. Thank you.
Alan Harris. Woo! Thank God you've returned. All right. Mr. Greg Pond is coming up next to warm your hearts with his thrilling overtones and underpinnings. I don't know what that means, but you guys can get back to me on that. I know. And then we have Stephen Gray and Clyde Alders, unless Bill is still here. Does Bill go? Okay. So Clyde, you're the closer. Clyde is closer. And this is Greg. I didn't do
I'm going to share a titled Good Morning. Good morning, Daddy. I was born here, he said, watched Harlem grow until colored folks spread from river to river, across the middle of Manhattan, out of Penn Station, dark tenth of a nation. Planes from Puerto Rico and hulls of boats, Chico up from Cuba, Haiti, Jamaica, in buses marked New York, from Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, to Harlem, Brooklyn, the Bronx, but most of all to Harlem. Dark, dusty sash across Manhattan. I've seen them come dark, wondering, wide-eyed, dreaming, out of Penn Station, but the trains are late. The gates open, yet there's bars on each gate. What happens to a dream deferred? Daddy, ain't you heard? Chain link. Chains now linked, not locked, should connect, not bind, should reinforce, not confine, us in communities undermined, yet unwittingly allow twisted minds to define how far we've come while being further marginalized and farther left behind. Change now slinks at a snail's pace, inching in increments when the issue is race. Hope walks along a path where freedom remains stalled, barred by bars and barbed wire, still casting patterned shadows across emancipation's wall. Somewhere in Bayview. I live in Bayview. Somewhere in Bayview, 10 p.m. Wrapping up and winding down another night southeast side of town. Some brothers shoot the roll of the dice. Some others shoot their way out of life. Sometimes the shadow tweaking rushes high on hurried feet, scuffles along worn shoes streets, panning for a handout or maybe the next best treat. Somewhere in Bayview, 12 midnight, a time for many to sleep, except for some who creep, walk alone, stagger, or reek of alcohol, roll from swing shift to home or a quick trip to late night store. A car window deals crack cocaine, whispers and shouts while the sound of the light rail train competes with sirens from police, or the firehouse down the street, rattling dreams and window panes. Somewhere in Bayview, 2 a.m., those who walk the streets at all stumble, falter, sometimes fall, past probation's curfew to crawl, while sneaking in and out of sin, hanging out till the break of dawn, trying to get their hustle on, creeping out for a booty call, or after booty, creeping back in. Somewhere in Bayview, 4 a.m., the sky has gone to bed, moon wrapped and star tucked, a yellow galaxy all bundled up. In pre-daylight, the fast cars leave. A community drifts in and out to early morning peace. Night stretches out after the last stray bullet falls asleep. Somewhere on the southeast corner of Kirkwood and 3rd Street.
Thank you. Greg the Gracious Pond. All right. Actually, they made a tiny error. We have Stephen Gray, Clyde, then Karen, then Benjamin. So Karen and Benjamin. I put Karen on the head and then Benjamin signed up. So Benjamin is actually the clincher closer. Would be Peter Gear Bulldozer. So, Mr. Stephen Gray will kindly come to the fore. A well-known musician, singer, songwriter, composer, and bon vivant man about town.
What are you talking about?
Him.
Very nice to meet you.
It's Neil Young.
This is, no it's not. I just have two here. This is one I read actually at the Poets 11 reading a while back at the library, called A Luxury Apartment. I live in an apartment with amenities and not so many enemies, amen. It is a luxury apartment for the following reasons. It is quiet in the middle of the night, and light is coming through the window in the morning. I am lying in it with my privacy protected by the trees. I have the luxury of living with a woman who is in love with me. The luxury of books and periodicals and other information at my fingertips, and no one breaking down the door to ask me questions. I am dialing up ethereal voices and emphatic sound effects. My mind is floating on the sound waves. In another room there is an apple, and I have the luxury of living in a building full of waterfalls. They're cold and hot. A wood guitar, a few rugs from the Middle East, an old Arabian respect for running water, a proximity to infinite dimensions like the constellations on the roof. I'm a few blocks from the ocean. Would you say a foghorn is luxurious, or living with electric currents running through the building? We are inhabiting the futurism of an Edison. Hot tea and honey and a humming typewriter, with the leisure time afforded by the rent control. I have opinions, and the luxury of living in a country with a working constitution. I'm luxuriating in the fact I'm not in jail, and hardly ever have insomnia, and winter never makes it here. I have a glass of wine, a loaf of bread, and my erectile function for a happy ending. This is called VUCA, and it stands for the letters VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Kind of sums it all up right there. You're born, you meditate, you die, a lifetime going on momentum, or prevented by a condom, and you wonder how the eye evolved and whether you can buy one on the internet. Eternal life in heaven is a turnoff. Have a reefer. You can try one on for size with your awareness shifting gears. It leaves a mundane mysticism in the brain. It makes you local. Being careless with the women and career, intensifying the peripheral and feeling kind of feral. Anyone could lose a year or two, diverted by the smoke, or disengaged without a goal. So you wallow in the soul. It's worse than if you live in Oakland. Every morning is a wake-up call, and when I exit sleep mode, I don't want to hit the road. I read the headlines. There's a fake out in the White House. Write an essay, spread the word, the meaning speared. Democracy has disappeared. It was consumed. It isn't easy living in a world of pattern informatics with the voices in your head, a king of the void, and maybe you're in love with matter. Women who I want to meet, squeegee babbles, and Ferrari sugar pants. I need a rarefied amour with full-grown feet who doesn't think about her boobs. Function is ahead of form. I wrote a poem, a confirmatory microcrystalline test incorporated in the language. Knowing I should sweep the floor, but what is the linguistic for? It's difficult to act your age when life is volatile, uncertain, and complex, ambiguous from time to time. The curious have been discouraged by a curtain, broken and autonomous, You're suffering from independent indigestion, and your sentences remain anonymous. I have lost a few more brain receptors underneath a burning moon. The humans go on learning. I could use a hat and cane.
Thank you so much. All right, so Clyde always a good show. When you run up, give him a round of applause, people. Wake up there.
Hey everybody, I'm Clyde Always. I'd like to encourage you all to submit to the Bay Area Generations reading. I'm your guest curator this month, and they've asked me to spread the word, so please look it up, Bay Area Generations. Without any further ado, here it is, The Tale of Manny and the Hot Dog Cart, by me, yours truly, Clyde Always. Once upon a time, not too long ago, in the Mission District of San Francisco, there lived a man named Manny. And Manny had come all the way from the wilds of the Yucatan to have a go at the American dream. So one day, Manny, with his own two hands and with scraps that he found for free, built himself a hot dog cart on wheels. And he bought a big tank of propane, and some links and some bacon and buns, not to mention the onions and mustard and hot sauce and tin foil too. And that night, Manny set up on the corner of 16th and Valencia streets, and the people walked by and they bought. He sold out his whole stock, and he went to bed rich and fat and happy. And the next day, Manny returned, his cart bursting with supplies, only to find no less than 7 other guys set up on the same corner, slinging hot dogs themselves. Well, they'd stolen his idea. Manny set up and sold a few, and he started to eat his losses when a cleaning lady, laden with brooms and mops and buckets and rags, came up to him. And she spoke to him in Mayan, his native tongue. She said, "I'm a wicked witch. I've got something here that could clean up the competition." Well, Manny asked, "What do you want in return, witch?" She said, "You'll know that when the time comes, Manny." And Manny agreed. She then handed him a miniature handheld vacuum cleaner and hobbled away. Well, Manny stood there a minute, the vacuum in hand. Then he crossed to the other side of the street, and he crept up behind a man with a stand, and he took aim, and he flipped the switch, and believe it or not, he sucked up the whole operation, man and fire and meat and onions and all. And he did it again, and again, and again, and until his was the only stand left, at which point 3 mariachis walked by, not singing, but munching away on